Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Knows.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Western adventure, we head for Dodge City, Kansas, and an episode of Gunsmoke starring William Conrad as Marshal Matt Dillon. This episode was originally broadcast February 6, 1954, and the story about the Big Broad.
Around Dodge City and in the territory on West, there's just one way to handle the killers and the spoilers, and that's with a U.S. Marshal and the smell of gun smoke. Gunsmoke, starring William Conrad. The story of the violence that moved west with young America. The story of a man who moved with it. Matt Dillon, United States Marshal.
The first time I saw Lena Wave, I should have resigned my job and gone to Texas on the fastest horse I could find. Handling a man is one thing, but trying to handle a woman is another. Especially when she weighs some 200 pounds and is muscled like a mule and twice as ornery. Lena came to Dodge on a great draft horse with dark circles around its eyes. And she was leading an old jack mule that carried her boyfriend, Emmett Fitzgerald. And Emmett was a tired, pigeon-breasted little fellow with a green look in his face. They weren't a very handsome pair, but we were mightily impressed by them the day they rode up Front Street.
I swear, Mr. Dillon, that woman must wear leather underwear.
I don't know why she's leading his mule. The man doesn't look stout enough to run away if he wanted to.
My, I'd sure hate to have her on my tail. But she's wearing a 6-gun. And built like a buffalo.
Well, she sure isn't the gentlest looking woman I ever saw.
Oh, that poor little man, Mr. Dillon. He somehow gives me the feeling he's being carried around in a bird cage.
Now, quiet, Chester. They'll hear you.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I never thought we'd make it, Lena.
You mean you never thought you'd make it? Get off that mule.
Sure, Lena. Here. I'll help you tie him up, Lena.
Ow! You stepped on my foot.
I'm sorry. Here. Lena.
That'll learn you to be a gentleman. You up there. Stop that. Who you laughing at?
Why, nobody, ma'am.
That's good. 'Cause if I got the notion you was laughing at me or my man, I'd open you up.
Oh, no. Oh, mine, no. No, it was just something funny I heard the other day from a fella.
What?
What?
What'd you hear that was so funny?
Well, I was sitting there and he come around and
Think hard, mister.
You remember, Mr. Dillon, you tell her, please.
Dillon? Why, you must be the marshal here.
Oh, that's right, ma'am.
Well, now, Marshal, I'm proud to know you. My name's Lena Wave. Shake!
Well, how do you do?
Over here, Emmett.
Sure, Lena.
Marshal, it's yours, Emmett Fitzgerald.
Emmett?
Glad to know you, Marshal.
Emmett's a gambling man.
Oh, is that so?
I want you to know he's honest, Marshal. Ain't you, Emmett?
Sure, Lena.
Say it.
I'm honest.
I only caught him cheating once, Marshal. Ain't that right, Emmett?
I was in bed 2 weeks. She liked to kill me.
Well, I'm glad to know that. About your being honest, I mean.
Emmett'll be running a game tonight. Right over there's as good a place as any. The Texas Trail.
Sure.
Glad to have you sit in, Marshal. And you can come, too, if you watch your manners.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Emmett, I'd better feed you so you can get enough strength back to kneel them cards. Come on.
Sure, Lena.
Chester's been in that game over there for 2 hours, Matt. He must be losing.
Well, he usually does, Kitty.
How anybody could concentrate with Lena hulking around, I don't know.
She does keep an eye on things, doesn't she?
You know, Matt, I feel kind of sorry for her.
Oh, she can take care of herself.
Well, isn't that? Being so big and not very pretty. After all, she is a woman.
That's not too easy to tell, Kitty.
You think she's in love with Emmett?
Well, now, Kitty, I tell you, I haven't worked that out yet. I'm sure been studying on it, though.
Matt. Every woman needs a man of some kind.
She's got one.
Yeah. I feel sorry for him, too.
Oh, Lena will take care of him.
I know. But I'll bet he'd like to take care of Lena just once. After all, he's human.
I tell you, that is not my hand. I had 3 aces. You accuse Emmett of cheating, and I'll shoot you dead.
Excuse me, Kitty. I better go fish Chester out of that.
That Emmett was dealing, wasn't he?
I'll blow a hole in you, mister. Right now.
All right, hold it, Lena.
She's about to shoot me, Mr. Dillon.
You bet I am.
Lena, I don't know what it's like where you came from, but you shoot anybody around here and you're going to go to jail.
You'd put a woman in jail?
For shooting, I would.
For fighting?
What?
This is what?
Well, now, here, he can put you in jail for that, too, now. Now, here.
The game's closed, gentlemen, for half an hour. I need some beer, Emmett. Come on.
Sure, Lena.
I don't care what this thing is. Like that, it ain't fair.
Here, Chester. Let me help you out. Come on. There. Well, are you all right?
Why didn't you stop her, Mr. Dillon? She might have killed me.
Well, I don't know, Chester. I never fought with a woman.
Well, I have, and I don't want no more of it.
You can't hit her. What can you do with her?
Leave her alone. That's what I'm going to do.
You know, Chester, Lena could get to be quite a problem.
Well, she ain't going to be my problem. I'm getting out of here.
Good morning, Mac.
Oh, hello, Doc. Hey, you gonna have some breakfast?
Oh, no, I've already eaten. We'll have some coffee, though.
Oh, good.
They had me up real early this morning.
No? Who did?
A couple of men Lena Wave got mad at.
Huh?
She used a bottle on them.
Oh, were they hurt bad?
Oh, she bloodied them up some. It wasn't real serious, though. All they did was try to protect themselves. After all, what man's going to fight a woman?
Yeah, that's true. But one of these days, some drunk's not going to realize she is a woman, and he'll shoot her.
The one that hasn't happened already. Oh, say, I hear Chester caught it all right when he accused Emmett of trying to cheat him.
Well, he found out later that it wasn't true, Doc. The other boys were just playing a joke on him. They switched his cards while he was under the table looking for some chips that he'd dropped.
If you ask me, a man that'll leave his hand while he crawls around on the floor deserves anything that happens to him.
Well, just about everything did.
Mr. Dillon?
Oh, here he is. He'll tell you.
Mr. Dillon? Oh, say, you better come too, Doc.
Oh, what's the trouble, Chester?
Lena Wave, she just shot a man over at the Dodge House.
What?
We better get... Is the man dead, Chester?
He sure is, Doc.
Where's Lena?
She's still there. Claims it was self-defense.
Did you see it?
Yes, sir. I was right there. Lena was getting her room key at the desk, and this buffalo hunter come in and grabbed her. Well, he was pretty drunk.
Drunk? At this hour of the morning he was drunk?
Well, I guess he'd been up all night, Doc. Anyhow, he tried to kiss her.
He must have been drunk.
He got her gun hand behind her back, and then he pushed her up against the desk. Oh, she was swearing at him something terrible.
Well, how did she shoot him, Chester?
Well, sir, she just ooched around and squirmed herself along the desk till she'd rubbed her 6-gun around on the other side. Then she just pulled it out with her free hand and shot him in the belly.
She did? Oh my, she's quite a woman, ain't she?
She sure is. She's waiting with Emmett right inside here, Mr. Dillon. Everybody else took cover. They're scared to death of her.
What are you here for, Doc?
Eh?
You can't do him no good.
Well, I just come to take a look at him. Oh, yes, he looks dead, all right.
He's dead.
Why did you kill him, Lena?
Well, I had to protect myself, Marshal. Nobody else would, including Emmett here.
I figured you'd take care of him yourself, Lena. You always do.
Sure. But if you was a man, you'd do it for me.
Now, Lena, look how big he is.
He ain't very big anymore. All it takes is a gun, Emmett.
Sure, Lena.
There are too many people carrying guns around here already. I'm going to take yours, Lena.
What for? I killed him in self-defense.
He wasn't even armed, except for that Bowie knife.
You're forgetting something, Marshal.
What?
I'm a woman.
So?
So? You mean to tell me a woman ain't got the right to protect her virtue in this town? What do you men come to, anyway?
Well, yeah, she's got a point there.
Ain't no judge in the world that wouldn't call it self-defense.
No, you're right, Lena. I keep forgetting.
You know I'm right. Emmett, we ain't had breakfast yet, and I'm hungry. Come on.
Sure, Lena.
You know, I've been thinking, Mr. Dillon.
Oh, what about, Chester?
Well, old Lena could have let that fella kiss her this morning. Just a little peck, anyway. Then she wouldn't have had to shoot him.
Yeah, she could have. But she didn't.
I declare, she's enough to curdle cream.
Well, I hope everybody leaves her alone from now on.
Marshal Dillon?
Yeah.
I'm Nate Bannister.
Now, I'm glad to know you.
You won't be, if what I hear is true.
Oh?
Jim Henry was my friend, Marshal.
Is that so?
Nobody's going to shoot a friend of mine and get by with it. Not even a woman.
He was drunk, Nate, and he was treating her bad.
And it's no call to kill him.
In this country, a woman's free to protect herself any way she can.
Yeah. That's what everybody I've talked to say.
Well?
Don't sit with me. You gonna arrest her?
No.
Okay, then.
Oh, wait a minute.
What?
Where you going?
I'm Marshal. I'm going to kill me a woman.
We will return for the second act of Gunsmoke in just a moment. But first...
February 6, 1954, Gunsmoke on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Classic Radio Theater family, you know our friend Mike Lindell has a passion to help everyone get the best sleep of your life. He didn't stop by just creating the best pillow. He created the best bed sheets ever. They look and feel great, which means an even better night's sleep for me because, you know, I'm working like 67 hours a day. Now, Mike's offering the best deal on his Giza Dreams bed sheets ever. You can get a set of Giza sheets for as low as $29.98. You'll never want to sleep on anything else once you slept on a set of Giza Dream sheets. A special offer for you right now. You can get a set of Giza sheets for as low as $29.98. Call 1-800-928-4715. Use the promo code Wyatt. Or go to mypillow.com, use the promo code Wyatt. It's good on anything on the website. That number again, 1-800-928-4715. Use my promo code Wyatt. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, more of Gunsmoke, February 6, 1954.
Nate Bannister was obviously a buffalo hunter, same as his friend who had been shot that morning. He was a huge man with a heavy black beard and eyebrows so thick it was hard to tell if he was looking at you or not. I watched him as he stood in the doorway, having just said that he was going to kill Lena Wave. And I realized that a man that primitive was capable of doing anything, even shooting a woman. And I wasn't sure how to stop it, unless I shot him first.
The way I was brought up, Marshal, that's what friends is for. If somebody kill you, then they gotta kill them.
You do any killing around here, Nate, and you'll be tried for it.
Maybe. If you catch me.
I'll catch you.
Why you gotta protect women, Marshal? Just 'cause they're so weak and puny?
Is that Nate Bannister?
Huh?
You heard me.
Why, yes, ma'am. I'm Nate Bannister.
Well, they didn't tell me you was so big.
Who didn't tell you? How'd you know my name?
You've been spreading it around that if the marshal don't arrest me, you'll shoot me. That true?
Are you Lena Wave?
I am. And if there's gonna be any shooting, I want in on it.
Now, wait a minute, Lena.
I ain't gonna get bushwhacked by no dirty buffalo hunter, Marshal.
Bushwhack? I wouldn't do that to nobody. Especially the lady.
Lady?
Yes, ma'am.
He called me a lady, Marshal.
Well, you are, ain't you?
Of course I am.
Yeah, what's the matter with calling you one?
Nothing. I kinda like it.
Just 'cause you ain't pale and skinny like the ordinary woman.
No. Of course I ain't.
Why, I never seen a woman like you nowhere. You're kinda admirable.
Listen to him, Marshal. Ain't he a one?
Oh, I mean it. I sure do.
Oh.
I sure do.
No, you don't. I'm too big.
Too big? Why, you want to be like all them little scrawny women? They can't do nothing. They're no good.
They ain't?
Oh, no. A real man needs someone, better than that.
He does?
Of course he does.
Like me?
Yeah. Like you. What? What?
You was gonna shoot me a minute ago.
Oh, no. I didn't mean nothing by that. Hey, come on. I'll buy you beer. We'll talk about it.
Well, okay. So long, Marshal.
Yeah. Don't you worry about nothing, Marshal.
Chester!
Yes, sir?
That jug of corn whiskey's still out back.
Yes, sir. It was last time I looked.
Go and get it.
Those two make quite a couple, Matt. Look at them. They've been sitting there most all day.
Yeah, a pretty shaggy pair of lovebirds, if you ask me. How's Emmett taking all this?
Well, he didn't find him till a couple of hours ago.
No, what happened? Oh, where is he?
Nate ran him off. He probably had done more, but Lena wouldn't let him. You know, Matt, I think underneath she's real fond of that little Emmett.
Yeah? And she got a strange way of showing it.
Women do sometimes.
Well, it doesn't matter as long as she keeps out of trouble.
She leads quite a life, doesn't she? Shoots a man in the morning and falls for his best friend in the afternoon.
She might have shot both of them if Nate hadn't started sweet-talking her.
Well, he made her feel like a woman, that's what.
Oh, sure.
Nothing wrong with that, is there?
It probably saved his life.
All right, mister. You get away from
Look,
her.
Matt, it's Emmett.
Yeah.
You heard me.
I thought you'd gone home.
I ain't going home. Not without Lena, I ain't.
Yes, you are. Lena and me is going to get married.
I didn't say that.
I ain't had time to tell you.
I'm warning you, mister.
Excuse me, Kitty, I better stop this.
Look, fella, I'm going to kiss her. Watch.
No.
Hold it, Emmett! Oh! All right, Emmett.
What a mess. From February 6, 1954, William Conrad as Marshal Matt Dillon, Gunsmoke. Thank you for tuning into Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, the conclusion of Gunsmoke, along with a brand new yours truly Johnny Dollar story, following these important messages from your favorite radio station. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, the conclusion of Gunsmoke, Big Broad, as it was broadcast February 6th, 1954.
Hold it, Emmett! Oh! All right, Emmett. Give me that Derringer.
Sure, Marshal.
Chester,
Yes, sir. Here I am, Mr. Dillon.
get Nate's gun before he comes to.
All right, sir. I'll get it.
All right, then take him over to Doc's, huh? He doesn't look too bad hurt.
No, sir. He ain't. I'll take care of him.
Come on, Leslie. You shot him.
I know.
You shot him. Over me.
Well, he was stealing you, Lena.
And you went and shot him.
I was kind of ashamed this morning when that other fella tried to kiss you.
You're a man after all, Emmett.
I couldn't stand losing you, Lena.
Oh, I didn't care nothing about him.
You didn't?
No. I was just tired of not being treated like a woman. He called me a lady and kind of lost my head. That's all.
Well, Emmett kind of lost his head, too, Lena. All right, Emmett, come on. You're going to jail.
No, Marshal, please.
Come on, get going, Emmett.
All right. My husband goes to jail. So do I.
Your husband?
Of course. We've been married 10 years, Marshal.
I always knew it wasn't a mistake.
Well, he's still going to jail.
Please, Marshal, don't take him.
Of course I'll take him. He just shot a man, didn't he?
He was only protecting his lawful wedded wife. You gotta let me go with him. Well, I can't leave him now. I've been waiting 10 years for him to treat me like a woman. Oh, please, Marshal.
Look, Lena, there's been nothing but trouble since you hit Dodge.
Please, Marshal.
When Nate gets patched up, he'll be gunning for Emmett here.
Emmett'll kill him next time.
All right, Lena. Look, I'll tell you what I'll do. Get out of Dodge, both of you. Right now.
You mean it?
If you hurry.
Oh, thank you, Marshal. Let's go, Emmett.
Wait a minute.
Huh?
Take my arm.
All right.
Now, Lena. Come on.
Sure, Emmett. Sure.
Gunsmoke, under the direction of Norman Macdonald, stars William Conrad as Matt Dillon, U.S. Marshal. Tonight's story was specially written for Gunsmoke by John Meston, with music composed and conducted by Rex Corey. Featured in the cast were Virginia Gregg with Vic Perrin and John Daner. Parley Bear as Chester, Howard McNear as Doc, and Georgia Ellis as Kitty. Gunsmoke has been selected by the Armed Forces Radio Service to be heard by our troops overseas. Join us again next week as Matt Dillon, U.S. Marshal, fights to bring law and order out of the wild violence of the West in Gunsmoke.
You gotta love it. February 6, 1954, Gunsmoke on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now on Classic Radio Theater, we have part one of a brand new Yours Truly Johnny Dollar story. It's the McClain Matter. This was originally broadcast February 6, 1956.
From Hollywood, it's time now for
Johnny Dollar.
This is Don Taylor down at Tri-State, Johnny.
Hello, Don. Happy New Year. Belated, of course.
Same to you, Johnny. Listen, would you like to come over to my office and meet a pretty girl?
Sure. Is she interesting?
Very. As a matter of fact, she just told me the most interesting thing I've ever heard.
Oh, what's that?
She just told me that she was dead.
Tonight and every weekday night, Bob Bailey in the transcribed adventures of the man with the action-packed expense account, America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar to Tri-State Insurance Underwriters, International Building, Hartford, Connecticut. The following is an accounting of expenditures during my investigation of the McClain Matter. Expense account item $1, cab fare to the International Building in Don Taylor's office. He was sitting behind his desk when I walked in, talking to a tall, dark-haired girl in her late 20s who was standing casually looking out the window at the street below. She was pretty, she was quiet, and she was well-dressed.
Hello, Johnny. Thanks for coming right over. I'd like to have you meet Mrs. McClain.
How do you do?
Hello.
Sit down, Johnny. Make yourself comfortable. Take my desk.
Where are you going?
I'm going to let Mrs. McClain talk to you alone. She has a most unusual story.
Yeah, something about being dead. Isn't that what you said?
Yes, something about being dead. Mrs. McClain, Mr. Dollar will be handling this matter for Tri-State. I wish you'd tell him exactly what you've just told me. Ring the buzzer when you're through, Johnny.
Oh, sure. Would you like to sit down?
He thinks I'm crazy. That's what he thinks. Well, isn't it?
Well, I doubt that. Well, sit down. Let's talk it over.
Of course he does. It's the first I've told it to anybody. It's fantastic. What did he say your name was?
Johnny Dollar.
Dollar. What do you do?
I'm an insurance investigator.
Oh. For him?
For anybody who hires me. Here. Try one of these, Mrs. McClain.
Thank you. I suppose I'll be put in jail, don't you?
Look, Mrs. McClain, why don't you try to tell me some of the facts about, about whatever it is.
The facts are, I'm legally dead, Mr. Dollar. And my husband collected on my insurance policy.
Mm-hmm. When did all this happen?
2 years ago in Los Angeles.
How much money did your husband collect on your insurance policy?
$10,000.
Where is your husband?
In Los Angeles.
I suppose you tell me how it worked, Mrs. McClain.
My husband's a doctor, Mr. Dollar. His name's Dave McClain. One night he had a patient come in, a girl. Oh, she was in pretty bad shape. She'd been drinking somewhere, and she just came in off the street. Saw his shingle outside the office. I was there helping Dave as a receptionist.
Oh.
Dave took her into one of the examining rooms to see what the matter was. She had a heart attack. She died on the table. Oh, there was nothing he could do for her. Nothing anybody could do for her.
Mm-hmm. She died on the table, and then what?
Well, Dave came out and told me what had happened. We looked in her purse to find out who she was and where she lived. There wasn't anything but an address in Jersey City.
No Los Angeles address?
No. Her name was Teresa Corbett. She was from Jersey City, and that's all.
Then what?
Well, Dave called long distance to the place in Jersey City. It was an apartment. He talked to the manager there.
I see. Go on.
Well, Dave didn't say anything about Teresa Corbett being dead. He didn't have a chance, really. The manager was very upset. He told Dave that Teresa's mother had died very suddenly 2 days before. He said he'd been trying to locate her there in Los Angeles. Oh, he was very frantic. Well,
go on.
It was just one of those crazy things. The apartment house manager was just about out of his mind. Teresa's mother had died in one of his apartments on his premises. He himself had assumed responsibility for the body. He didn't know what to do about a funeral or anything else. He told Dave that Teresa was all the old woman had in the world. Nobody else.
And Teresa Corbett was dead in your office at the time?
Yes. Well, Dave hung up. I didn't know what he was thinking at first, and then he said to me, "We're in luck." I asked him what he meant by that, and he said that the girl who had died in our office didn't have anyone in the world and no one would know the difference. Then he told me we'd use her body.
Just like that, huh?
Yeah, just like that. He said it was the chance of a lifetime.
Well, go on.
Well, Dave called up Dr. Reed. He had an office across the hall from Dave. We waited a while, and then I hid when Dr. Reed came in. Dave told him that I had had a heart attack. He took him back in the examining room and showed him the body of Teresa Corbett and told Dr. Reed it was me. Oh, it was awful.
How do you mean?
Well, I mean, I hid there in the back office and listened to them talk. They tried oxygen on the girl and shots and everything else. But it was too late. Dave knew it was too late. But, well, Dr. Reed signed my death certificate. 2 days later, they buried Teresa Corbett under my name.
And then what did you do?
Well, I took a hotel room that first night, and then I went down to Palm Springs. Dave said he'd meet me there.
Oh, wait a minute. Dr. Reed had the office across from your husband's?
Yes.
Well, didn't this Dr. Reed know you? Hadn't he seen you around? You said you were acting as a receptionist for your husband.
I'd never met Dr. Reed. He was just new.
Okay. So you went to Palm Springs?
Yes. After the funeral, Dave came down, and he said I'd have to disappear for a while, to give him the time to collect the insurance money and straighten out some things.
He collected the money?
Yes, he did. All of it.
Then what happened?
I came to New York to live. Dave was going to close his practice in Los Angeles and come to New York, and we'd be together again. He never met me in New York.
Do you know why he never met you in New York?
No.
Did he write to you?
Yes, for a while. For about 3 months after I left. He wrote me once or twice a week and said that he'd be in New York any day. And then he stopped writing.
Do you have any of those letters?
No, I'm sorry, I don't.
Do you know why he stopped writing to you?
No. I have no way of finding out. I couldn't call anyone in Los Angeles and ask them to look into it for me, could I?
Tell me, what is it you feel now, Mrs. McClain?
What?
Well, just what is it you want us to do?
Well, I don't know. What do you do in a case like this?
I've never had a case like this. Why did you come to us?
Well, I've had this thing on my mind almost 2 years. It was wrong to begin with. It's wrong now. I suppose it's because this insurance company was wronged mostly. My husband and I cheated them out of $10,000. At least my husband did.
What about this Dr. Reed?
Well, he didn't have anything to do with it. I mean, he just signed the death certificate, but he didn't know the difference.
You sure about that?
Quite sure about that. I don't want to get anyone into trouble. I mean anyone.
Including Dr. Reed.
Yes. Well, I know how fantastic all of this must sound, but it's the truth. Do you think I'm crazy?
You don't look crazy to me.
What's the saying?
What saying?
Oh, something about how you can leave home, but eventually you have to come back to count the spoons. I guess that's what I'm doing now, telling you all this.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to tell it to someone after all this time.
Did you get any of the insurance money, Mrs. McClain?
Not a dime.
Were you supposed to?
Oh, I suppose so, yes. If Dave had met me.
Would you say the whole thing was his idea?
Yes. Yes, I would. I didn't know what he had in mind that night after he hung up the phone.
You've been living in New York for the last couple of years since it happened, is that right?
Yes. 2257th Street. Apartment 23.
What have you been doing? How do you live?
I've been working. I took a job in a medical lab.
Under your own name?
No. I used the name of Patricia Kennedy.
Is there any way you can prove you're actually Doris McClain?
I could in Los Angeles.
How?
Well, people there know me. Friends I've had all my life.
Were you ever fingerprinted there?
No, I don't think so.
During the war, did you work in a defense plant, maybe?
No.
How about a California driver's license?
I don't drive, no.
Would you be willing to furnish me with a list of names of people who might be able to identify you?
People in Los Angeles?
Yeah, sure, anywhere.
Well, yes, I would, if it's necessary.
It's necessary.
Don't you believe me?
All of this has to be checked, Mrs. McClain. Now, what was the reason for trying to cheat the insurance company?
Oh, Dave was badly in debt. He needed so many things that... Well, it seemed a good way to get them without too much trouble.
You mean burying a girl named Teresa Corbett under your name?
Yes.
A girl without any family anywhere, with a mother who died 2 days before.
Yes.
Very few people in this world are without somebody, somewhere, Mrs. McClain.
Teresa Corbett didn't have anybody, Mr. Dollar. I know that.
Do you know any more about her than what the apartment house manager said on the telephone to your husband?
No.
Do you remember the name of the apartment house manager in Jersey City?
No.
The address?
No.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell me about all this?
Well, I can't think of anything. No.
Before I ask Mr. Taylor to come back in here, I want to ask you again, why did you come to the insurance company?
What?
Why did you come here to Hartford to the insurance company?
You asked me that once, and I told you. The insurance company were the people that were wrong.
Now, look, obviously you've been living and working in New York and getting along. No one knows anything about this. There was no need for anyone to know anything about it. No need for us to know about it. Now, you'll pardon me, but you don't seem like the type of person who wakes up one morning with a big pain in the conscience. Not at all. Now, you sat here and told me about your husband, how your husband thought of the idea, how your husband hung up the phone, how your husband called in a Dr. Reed to sign a death certificate, how your husband handled every detail, all of it. Not you, Mrs. McClain, your husband. He's the one you want us to get, isn't he?
Yes. He didn't have to meet me in New York once he got his hands on that money. He didn't have to do anything about me. I was dead on paper, and I couldn't go back. I buy a Los Angeles newspaper now and then, and I saw a notice yesterday that he's going to get married again.
I see.
But I'm still his wife. He tricked me.
You helped him to do it. Who's he going to marry there?
I didn't recognize her name.
How old are you?
I'll be 30 next June.
I'm going to ask you something else, Mrs. McClain. Have you ever been in trouble before?
No.
Well, you're in trouble now, if all this is true.
Well, it is true. Now,
Would you be willing to
you
sign a statement in front of witnesses containing all the information you've given me here today?
Yes. Yes, I would.
Okay.
Yeah, Johnny?
You can phone your legal department, Don. Mrs. McClain is willing to make a statement regarding this whole matter.
All right.
Mrs. McClain, you can make your statement in front of Mr. Taylor and whatever witnesses he wants to use. I'll see you in about an hour or so, Don.
Good.
You're all through with me?
No, there's one more thing, Mrs. McClain. You realize that if what you've told me is true, both you and your husband will be criminally charged?
Well, yes. Yes, I realize that. Oh,
Johnny, for heaven's sake, you're trying to scare us.
I just wanted that part understood. I'll see you.
Johnny, wait a minute.
Don't worry. I'll be around. Plenty.
Now, here's our star to tell you about tomorrow's intriguing episode of this week's story.
Tomorrow, some well-thought-out lies. Well, believe it or not, they come true. Join us, won't you? Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, starring Bob Bailey, is transcribed in Hollywood. Written by John Dawson. It is produced and directed by Jack Johnstone. Be sure to join us tomorrow night, same time and station, for the next exciting episode of Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Roy Rowan speaking.
From February 6, 1956, yours truly, Johnny Dollar, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Would you do me a favor and thank this radio station and support their advertisers? It is their kindness and courtesy that allows us to be with you each and every time we roll around here on your favorite station. Also, a reminder that you can learn more about building your own classic radio collection by coming to my webpage, classicradio.stream. That's classicradio.stream. You can also find our links to social media. You can contact me directly, and you can hear our programs on demand. classicradio.stream. Don't forget that if you miss a day on this station, you do not have to miss a single episode. Our programs are available via iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, other locations. Just search for Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Have yourself a great day, won't you please? And tell all your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater on your favorite radio station.